the NDC, quite controversially, came out boldly to say this rotation to the south is just for 4 years. And many have argued, and I want to align my thoughts with them, that the reason why Rabiu Kwankwaso is joining the ADC is because he sees that a short route to the presidency, to having a shot at the presidential ticket in 2031. To the southeast extraction, is that fair?
Incidentally, you are speaking with the man who moved that historic motion. I moved that motion.
Historic.
Very historic. And that reinforces our position. That is not about self, it's about country. First, what Nigeria needs today is national healing, unity, togetherness. That's the only way we can fight poverty. That's the only way we can fight insecurity. And then, if the North, I told you and mentioned some key players who insisted against the run of play, against the decision of the then sitting president and their region, that power should come south. Should we, imbued with selfishness, now say we are going to elongate the turn of the south? If 4 years is enough to bring our country, Nigeria, to the current parlous state that it is currently, I think that 4 years is also enough to make a fundamental difference. People like the late moral leader of the world, Nelson Mandela, did 4 years and moved on. Mr. P2B can do this.
Honorable Afam.
Yes.
Ogene.
Yes.
Tell Nigerians the truth. Can anybody, even Owele, Nnamdi Azikiwe, Obafemi Awolowo, if they resurrected and came back, in their genius, can they fix this current Nigeria in 4 years? Be honest.
Okay, I thought we were going to ask if anybody was going to just do 4 years and go. I would have reminded you that even though I've not read it anywhere, a famous nationalist was said to have wished to be president even for 1 day. Then when you talk about whether Nigeria can be fixed in 4 years, nobody asked that of Nelson Mandela in the transition from the apartheid regime to majority rule. What it takes to fix a country is law and order. Personal example. It's not bricks and mortars that fix a country. If you enthrone law and order in Nigeria today, all other things will fall in place. And it doesn't take an eternity to enthrone law and order.
You know, when Nigerians make these arguments comparing Nigeria with South Africa, you know, I am bemused. And you know why? South Africa is a developed economy, light years ahead of any competitor in Africa, not even Nigeria. For instance, South Africa has 50,000 megawatts of electricity, distributed, guaranteed. I could leave just that alone. Check their financial systems. So comparing South Africa with Nigeria is a complete misnomer. Hold on, sir. The only thing Mandela needed to do in South Africa was to heal the nation. Heal the nation. Simple. And he did that. Sir, Nigeria is under the ground. It's not just that it is completely down. Can I ask you once again, sir, can anybody, any leader, fix this country, the rot of this country in 4 years?
First, I never compared Nigeria and South Africa. I only compared leadership.
Of course.
No, I only compared leadership, and I mentioned the name Nelson Mandela. I didn't even go ahead to talk of Thabo Mbeki. And then I came back to still talk about P2B doing 4 years. Now, even you agree that the rot is not just on the ground, that it is underneath. My question would be, do we reinforce failure? If somebody has tried to get the country up, and by your own admission, the country is not just down, it is underneath, don't you think we have to try something different? And nobody has said that In 4 years, all our problems will go away. If you establish law and order, the man alone is taken and is deployed to the purpose for which it has been taken. That's law and order. I'll give you an example. On November 15, 2025, the National Assembly passed, a demand for a loan, 1.15 trillion. And the executive said it was for the payment of local contractors. Between you and I, the local contractors are still carrying mock coffins and protesting all over Abuja. So what has happened to that loan? We are doing the costliest project in sub-Saharan Africa, the Coastal Road, never budgeted, didn't go through any competitive bidding. If there were law and order, would that happen? So if you have law and order, a whole lot of things will be fixed. And I told you, through solid personal example, which Mr. P2B displayed in Anambra, this can be done. Anambra used to be a state where everybody was law unto themselves. But when Mr. P2B came in, civility took over. And we are still enjoying from that civility till tomorrow.
Honorable, I'm glad you went there. Where we're going now, I'm glad you went there yourself. So, the role of the National Assembly, constitutionally, that's actually the engine, the heartbeat of any democracy. This 10th Assembly of which you are a member has been described by all of us, including yourself, I know, as a mere rubber stamp, worse than useless. You cannot contest it, it's a fact. Because everything, just like you said now, anything that comes there from the presidency is just, approved, whether it is loans or whatever. Electoral Act was passed, nobody saw it. Now, my question is, and look at what you said now, the role of oversight on the National Assembly is failed, and you're a member of that, body. Why is the National Assembly so ineffectual, so compromised? Why?
Okay. Let me just give you a vivid example. When we came to the 10th House of Representatives, I had a make-up election. So I joined my colleagues about 6 weeks later. I had another election on April 15. The general elections was February 25. Yes. And so when they came, Mr. P2B asked them to choose from amongst themselves who will lead them. And 2 returning members, one from 2003 set and another from the 8th Assembly, 2015 to 2019, couldn't agree. And then at some point, he remained stalled. Within a week that I came, my colleagues who had an election, and out of 35 of us, I had 22 votes. One person had about 7 and the other one maybe 5. Now, Mr. P2B could simply have anointed or appointed one person. He didn't do that. In keeping with his nature, he didn't do that. Now you asked about the National Assembly. In one fora, I had stated that the 9th Assembly was described as a rubber stamp. But I'm still finding it difficult to get the right words to describe even the 10th Assembly. I have also been on record as having described it as a parliament of anything goes. Worse than a rubber stamp. But where did we get it wrong? It begins with executive interference. The Constitution in Section 60 says that the House and the Senate shall choose their own leaders from among themselves. We didn't do that. The executive brought its weight to bear. And so, if you act like a boa constrictor, you conscript the people and everything around them, which was what happened. And if you don't exercise the democratic right of putting your leadership, then it is very difficult calling them to account. That is one. 2, The parliament is a place where the rule of the majority reigns supreme. The minority can only have their say. The majority would always have its way. I, for one, has always had my say. Ditto a few courageous members. But as a bloc, in a situation where opposition figures that are in bed with the ruling party are meant to superintend over the affairs of the opposition, what do you expect from that parliament? And Nigerians, we are all looking. This is not about only us. We are representing you and everybody else. We saw that Kingsley Chinda emerged minority leader of the 10th Assembly, who we all know is a Nwike protege. Only 3 days ago, he went for APC screening for governorship, even still holding the position of minority leader.
On another party's platform.
Eh?
On another party's platform.
PDP. On PDP's platform. If that is not outrageous, I don't know what else. If that is not against the grain of law and order, I don't know what else. Ali Madaki left the NMPP and declared for the APC months back. But at least after some time, he took the honorable route and threw in the towel. My good friend, Dr. Ali Jesse, was minority whip. Only about a week or two ago, he crossed over to the APC. So what do you do with that kind of minority death? So it only shows where their physical bodies were and where their minds were all the while.
Now, one of the most egregious failings of the 10th National Assembly, two actually. Number one, as we speak now, we actually do not know which of the budgets from 2024, 2025, 2026, which of them is actually being implemented. Apart from non-implementation of the capital aspect of the budget to the budgets overlapping. This is the first time in our history that we have 3 budgets running concurrently. Can you shed more light on this?
There is no light to shed. It wasn't done in the dark.
It wasn't done in the day.
It wasn't done in the dark. It was done in the full glare of everybody. And even those who didn't have the opportunity of sitting in parliament, either as members or as part of the gallery, got to know the decisions. So what you have just read out is not a failing of the 10th National Assembly. It's a failing of the current administration. Pure and simple. If they can run a thing as simple as a budget, January to December, everybody runs budgets in their own homes. Between a husband and a wife and the children, they make their budget subject to the man's income. He knows what to borrow. He knows what to get from other streams of income and balance out. So for a country that is even you at your level does not know which budget we are running, even some of us are still confused because they have all overlapped. But because of the tyranny of the majority, for them, it is business as usual. But it's left for the Nigerian people, and that's why I told you it's not a P2B headache. It's not an Atiku Abubakar headache. It is between the administration and the Nigerian people. If they want for us to repeat that, and they have the tax law coming next year, so they should be prepared.
Another aspect of the failure, like I mentioned, 2 major ones, is the humongous loans that have been taken by the federal government on all of our behalf, because it's your children, my grandchildren, and your grandchildren that will pay these loans. How did the National Assembly arrive at the point where a request for loan is submitted in the morning, and by noon, the Senate President reads it around noon, by 2 p.m. or so, it is passed. 2 billion, 1 billion, $3 billion. How did you get it, Honorable?
Well, loans in itself are not bad. It is to what use they are deployed that is the issue. I cited a clear example except they change the heading tomorrow. That one was specifically targeted at local contractors. I know that many of them have lost houses. Many of them have lost huge incomes arising from completed jobs that have not been paid for. Again, as part of government, because we have three arms of government, so I'm part of government. But I regret to say that these loans, we do not see to what ends they are being put. And if we do not see, that's why we are alerting the people. That's why I'm talking about it. There is nobody, I challenge anybody from the APC to sit before you and talk in the same manner and deride the loans. Only on my way here, I saw the headlines. We are negotiating with the World Bank at the second largest loan to be taken. But we also know how much some other countries spend in constructing infrastructure. So why would ours, again, law and order? Personal example.
Finally, let me ask you this one. You may not know, but I would ask you anyway. Mr. Wale, at a session in November, I think last year, the president earlier on in September last year had bragged that, oh, we've met our revenue targets, we have overshot, but Wale Edun came in November at the Appropriations Committee and openly said, no, we're barely making 30% revenue target. Was that the reason why Mr. Wale Edun was sacked as finance minister?
I'm not a member of the kitchen cabinet, but I do know that even we, the opposition caucus, had at the time called for his sack. Because if you cannot meet your obligations and you can't explain why, like you said, Mr. President said the revenue targets have been met. For a budget of, was it 48 trillion or 58 trillion naira? And only the Nigerian Revenue Service had gotten 27 trillion, 5 trillion more than its projected revenue. Not to talk of customs, the NMPC, other revenue-generating agencies. And the president gleefully told us in September that we have met the non-oil revenue targets and surpassed. And then, even if you talk about our oil revenue, we are spending so much protecting pipelines. How come we do not have any major hiccups in oil productions? So why are we not getting value for money? So if you balance what we get, plus the loans taken, you will see that we overshot the budget. Yet, the government is still in debt. It is up to the Nigerian people. For me, politics is a contestation of ideas. A lot of people think that we need to engage in browse in the assembly or march on the streets for things to change. And that's the whole beauty of democracy. Every 4 years, you go to renew the mandate. For the presidency, a time tenure of 8 years. But as a political party, even after 8 years, you come to seek the mandate of the people. So if the people are not sufficiently embittered to try something else, it's up to them.